Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we featured a really interesting team with Kommo-O, so we'll be playing a couple more games with it today. As you can see, it is a brand new rank season, so we have gone back to Great Ball tier. Hopefully we'll beat to Master Ball tier in just a couple of days, and yeah, it's still the same rule set. The rules will actually be switching over on November 1st for Series 7, which will incorporate the new Pokemon from the DLC. Once we get more info on that fully, I'll make a video about it and, start previewing teams that you might want to try out for Series 7. So, yeah, let's get into today's episode. And if you want to try out this team, rental code's in the description below. Once again, it was built by Ryota Otsuba, the 2017 World Champion. It's a super interesting Sun composition that we're going up against for the first game today. Sun is pretty scary. It's very scary. But I feel like Life Orb Lapras is pretty solid here. It's like, generally, I'm thinking I want to go with Talonflame, Lapras, Tox. I guess the Gastrodon is what's really scary here, because obviously that's going to redirect all my Water-type attacks away, but could I really bring Clef? That's going to get demolished. There aren't great fighting resists, so Kommo might be the fourth one. This matchup does not feel amazing to us, at least in Team Preview. Sableye is also just such a tricky Pokemon to play around, because it can fake out and it can quash and do a lot of tricky things, so we'll see. Either way, thanks as always for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like in the video. And question of the day, with all the Pokemon that we've seen coming out from the DLC thus far, I'm curious, what are you most excited to try out, either from the DLC or just before the DLC, that you think will still be good with all the brand new Pokemon? For me, I think like Garchomp, Metagross, and Dragonite are a couple that I'm especially eager to try out. So it's Ninetales and Charizard, which I honestly am fine with. I feel like here you have to switch the Ninetales out into the Gastrodon, right? Like, this is a super safe turn 1 Tailwind into Resonance, because then I can just Max Lightning Charizard the subsequent turn. I could have just Max Lightning here, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't one-shot Dynamax Charizard, so I don't think it's worth it. I was more worried about, like, a Sableye lead, honestly. So I'm glad to not see that. I think Sableye is really tricky. They don't switch out, which is really interesting. This could be a problem because it might be just a double up onto Ninetales, or sorry, onto Lapras. Like, if you have max Overgrowth. Now, a lot of Laprases are actually giving up Overgrowth. You'll run like a Fire-type attack, a Flying-type attack, and then Scorching Sands often. But maybe this one is just standard with Overgrowth. Either way, this is, a solid turn 1 for us. Now, obviously, if I Geyser turn 1, it would have been in a really good spot, but I really feel like I need to respect the Gastrodon switch in here. And I still don't mind this. I don't think Lapras goes down to a double up here, but we'll have to see. And we get screens up, right, which is pretty good. So Ninetales shouldn't be doing much damage, even if it is like Specs. Question is, what attack does the Charizard go for? But there's our Tailwind. So this is good, at least. I'm guaranteed outspeed, and I can obviously just bring in the Kommo-O, which is quite nice to have next turn as well if Talonflame goes down. There's Resonance. Maybe Max Lightning actually would have picked up the knockout there. That Resonance did more than I anticipated. Charizard's not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon. This is Life Orb Lapras we're talking about as well. Yeah, he's got Overgrowth. Okay, yeah, you could Overgrowth, and if you have Solar Beam here, that actually might just be a KO, which would be bad news for us. Actually, with Resonance up, I think we survive even if you have Solar Beam here, but let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think if you're Dynamaxing there, you definitely have to have Overgrowth, right? Yeah, it does have Solar Beam. That was a super risky play if I Geysered, but, I think the odds of me Geysering there are relatively slim. I think we survive still. Oh, yeah. Ninetales is a beast. Or, sorry, Lapras is a beast. Okay, so we heal back a little bit from terrain. Now, obviously, we can Geyser here. I don't think another Solar Beam KOs us, so I'm really leaning towards just Brave Bird onto Ninetales and then Max Lightning onto the Charizard. Charizard might protect here, as Ninetales just goes for a Solar Beam, but even if you go for that, like I said, I don't think you knock us out. Yeah, and I think that's a switching into Gastrodon now. Ooh, it's actually into Marowak. Oh, wow. I forgot about Lightning Rod. That's actually maybe a problem here. Because we would have just swept the game if I went for another Resonance there. Yeah, that was a complete blunder on my end. That's a nice switch in. I honestly think we're still fine, because, we have Tailwind up. We can go for Wildfire, but that's fine. Because, I just get Kommo-O out now, and I can just Brave Bird and go for, Clengar Scales, but yeah, I totally forgot about the potential of a Marowak switch in, which was really interesting. That's cool. Yeah, so Charizard should be in, honestly, Brave Bird plus Clengar Scales carriage. I guess the question is, does Marowak survive? It probably does, but we have screens up, so I'm not super worried. And if Marowak goes down, Toxtricity should clean up this one. But that was careless play on my end. There's very little reason to not go for a Resonance here because it gets guaranteed damage against all of my opponent's team. So, not a great decision on my end there. Yeah, I think I have to KO the Charizard here, even though it's likely to max guard. Like, we still have Tailwind to work with. Marowak protects, so I think now we're in great shape, because now we have late game Kommo against my opponent's team, but yeah, I can't help but think I played this game a little bit carelessly. Oh, actually, that just KOs Charizard. Which we actually didn't want. I thought Charizard would be tanky enough to survive the Brave Bird there. Because, like, now I don't get the special attack boost from Clanging Scales, which is a little unfortunate. However, it does mean I can just double up on a Marowak with Brave Bird and Clanging Scales this next turn. So, it's not awful. But I thought, yeah, if, like, we get these special attack boosts there, I feel like then it's really difficult to win from my opponent's end. However, it's a pretty guaranteed Brave Bird, Clangor Skills onto Marowak this next turn. And that should be a knockout, and we get the special attack boost. And Ninetales comes back out. We have screens up, so that's pretty good for us. You shouldn't knock us out. I don't even know if you knock out either Pokemon, and we have Tailwind up, so yeah, pretty free Brave Bird into Marowak and Clanging Scales. But Marowak switching was really, really good. And that was just my opponent punishing me for making a suboptimal play. Now, the thing is, you never have to play perfect. Okay, not never, sorry. I shouldn't say never. You can often not play perfectly in Pokemon and still end up winning, but even if you win, it's really important to identify, like, where did I make the mistakes so that I can push my leads further in the future. And in this game, there was just no reason to have really gone for... I could actually dodge a Heat Wave on Talonflame, which is kind of fortunate. I don't think that would have KO'd, to be honest, with screens being up. Yeah, we took so little damage here. So I think we're probably still fine, but the thing is that Lapras beat my opponent's entire team, so there's no reason to have given it up on turn 2 when we had a very guaranteed... We didn't have a guaranteed knockout because Charizard could have max guarded that turn, but what we could have accomplished at least was ensure that Lapras sticks on the field for 3 full turns, right? I feel like Gastrodon's got to be the last one, right? I guess maybe not if they've... Yeah, I guess they didn't have it. Which explains why they didn't switch it in at any given point, which is kind of crazy. I'm just going to Tailwind again here, because that... Now, with the Tailwind here, it's just a guaranteed win, because we have Toxtricity in the back, so we can just Overdrive. It also blocks a Sucker Punch, or... Actually, what? I know you can tell the Urshifu form based off its stance. But I always have to double check, because I'm never 100% confident. Okay, so we don't knock out either there. Fake Tear is interesting. That's not a super surprising attack. I mean, you normally want Heat Wave, Solar Beam, and then... Yeah, it was Water Urshifu. So they could have Aqua Jetted, but I don't think that would have KO'd anyway with Sun and Screens being up. Yeah, Talonflame's going to go down here, but Toxtricity just comes in and clicks Overdrive. So, little sloppy play from my end here on that Lapras turn with the Marowak switch in. Like, Resonance and Brave Bird, that turn is just super, super, super slave. Even in the worst case option in which my opponent protects and switches out Ninetales, it's still fine for us. But Kommo was actually excellent for us here. With screens being up, my opponent actually couldn't do very much damage to it. We were able to check the main threat. And if you look at like what the rest of the Pokemon were, it was Ninetales and Urshifu. But both of those don't actually match up super well into Kommo. So, you know, Marowak not getting an attack off meant that once Charizard went down, Kommo actually kind of was in a really good position against everything else. So, yeah. We can just bring out the Toxtricity now. There's pretty much nothing my opponent can do. Yeah, I'm just going to Rising Voltage here in Aura Sphere. We can go for any combination of attacks here. It doesn't really matter since we're faster with both. But you guys get to see these sick animations here. So that's neat. I really thought my opponent's team was pretty neat, though. And, you know, we have a fair amount... You know, it's really interesting to see Marowak and Gastrodon next to Charizard. Because you do... That allows you to have 2 means of protection. And you're able to protect Charizard from both electric and water type attacks, which is really, really neat. It's my first time seeing, you know, a combo like that. And it makes a lot of sense. So we end up with the win here, but definitely could have played a little bit better. There's no reason to not have gone for Resonance onto the Charizard that turn. So, yeah. Gastrodon, Marowak, standard sets here. Charcoal is interesting. You know, you often see Focus Sash. It was Eject Button Trick, so I'm glad that did not come out. Life Orb with Thunder Punch. Huh, that one's interesting. Wonder if it's for, like, Primarinas. Even though you have Overgrowth. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Charizard not having Protect also helped us a little bit in this game. Okay, so hopefully we can get to Master Ball tier today or tomorrow. Either way, I think in terms of Pokemon, it was really hard to justify bringing anything else in that last one. So I'm happy about the Pokemon we brought, just needed a little bit better execution. This is a really cool team. Primarina, Coalossal, another Sableye. I feel like we always, like, every time we play on Road to Rank now, there's always, like, a trend. Like, we always go up against the same Pokemon multiple times. There was Gengar a couple of episodes ago, now it's Sableye back-to-back. So what's interesting here is that, like, Primarina probably doesn't actually Dynamax very often on my opponent's end, is more of a supportive set. Obviously, it needs to run Aqua Jet. It's like, you have to, I mean, Coalossal and Durant are, like, the very likely Dynamax candidates here. So it's like, if Primarina doesn't max, I don't know, maybe we could actually bring Kommo-O. But they have the Talonflame as well. Like, this team is scary because there's so much disruption with the Talonflame and the Sableye. But I also have to lead just to beat Primarina Coalossal. Sableye, Durant, Talonflame, Durant are likely leads as well that I have to respect. Oh, dear. This one's tough. This one's really tough. Like, I'm leaning towards Talonflame Lapras, it's just that it's so predictable. But, like, I can't lead Kommo-O into Primarina Talonflame. I think Kommo-O in the back is potentially good, and then just Tox is the last one. The thing is that Ferrothorn's decently valuable here, but with 2 fire types, it's already scary to bring it. Sableye could Will-O-Wisp it as well, if you have that. Like, that's 3 and Hydreigon could have a fire type attack. And if my opponent didn't have Durant, I would probably bring the Clefairy, but they have Durant. Maybe we could have led Clefairy Talonflame. The logic behind that is that Talonflame pressures Durant with the fire type attack, and I could trade Clefairy for Durant potentially. I don't know if I feel super good about that. Let's see. I think Durant's more impressive here, but they do go Cold Primarina, which honestly I don't mind. Because this is a pretty free Tailwind Geyser turn 1. This is the thing about going up against Coalossal, you always have to lead to beat Coalossal. So even though this is pretty telegraphed, I mean, okay, before we lock in, let's just double check what we have in the back. We have Toxtricity, which is great against Primarina, Kommo-O, which is kind of bad against both of these, but somewhat valuable against what's in the back. I think it's got to be just Tailwind Geyser turn 1. The thing is, like, Coalossal should still outspeed us, but we should survive a Volcalith. And if we KO the Coalossal, I mean, we have to KO Coalossal, right? Because if I don't target it here, it just sweeps through my team. So I don't really have another play to make here, to be honest. They could make an interesting play where Primarina attacks and you protect Coalossal and get the boost off from the Max Geyser. That actually would be really interesting here. But they're going to max, okay. I'm pretty sure we survive a +2 Volcalith. If not, then we are absolutely doomed. And if for some reason my opponent's Coalossal is really slow and still doesn't outspeed us after Tailwind, then that would be great. But with Coalossal, I mean, you're often EV'd so that you outspeed even, like, what, max speed Excadrill in Sand. Not that Excadrill is super common anymore, obviously, I mean, it's banned, but... Okay, yeah, there's Aqua Jet. I mean, it's going to be a KO on a Coalossal here if we get it off. The only question is whether we get it off. Okay, so there's the boosts. Should be Volcalith into Lapras. Oh, we are still faster. Oh, my poor opponent. That's brutal for them. I think Durant would have been the right approach in this game, but, you know, if I lead anything else, Coalossal kind of sweeps through me, so... I had to lead Talonflame Lapras just to beat Coalossal, but I do feel... I feel a little bad there. Okay, so we get the knockout there. That's not bad. I mean, that's just game over, honestly. Like, there is no way my opponent can win this because the Primarina is more support-oriented. I have Life Orb Lapras with Tailwind. Like, you have Durant here, but what's Durant really going to do to us when it's not maxed? I've got Toxtricity, so I'm just going to set up the Electric Terrain so we can Overdrive. We already Tailwinded too, so let's just Brave Bird, Max Lightning Primarina, get the knockout onto that. Durant is not scary at all when it's not Dynamax. And this is what I meant by, like, my opponent's team is interesting because you have Coalossal and Durant. It's really hard to bring one or the other if you're not maxing it, right? Like, Coalossal you can maybe justify a little bit more because you could still Aqua Jet into, like, Heat Waves. You know, that is a fair amount of damage. But this is why Colossals need to be fast. You know, players pretty much opt for modest or timid max speed. Because you need to outspeed things under Tailwind. Because, you know, a fair amount of Pokemon the Tailwind is fairly common. 2 max Airstreams also allows you to, you know, instantly get to +2 speed as well. Yeah, Durant's just gonna Iron Head, which actually does a sizable amount of damage. I mean, it just shows how powerful Durant is with Hustle. Like, if we weren't maxed there, that would have been pretty close to a 1-hit KO. But, I mean, this game is pretty much dependent on that turn 1. The thing is, even if Coalossal is faster and it gets the KO... Or sorry, like, I don't think it gets the KO. And if we knock out the Coalossal and we have Tailwind up, Toxtricity just sweeps through everything else my opponent brought. So, yeah, I mean, that was just textbook, like, Coalossal. If you're using Coalossal, you really should invest in max speed. Like, I think it's worth it. Either Timid or Modest. I think most players were Modest. So, yeah. I'm guessing the Coalossal was just on the bulkier end. So, I honestly think, like, Sableye Durant would have been a really scary lead to have gone up against, because Durant's super, super powerful. That being said, I guess we had pretty good answers regardless. But, yeah, that was an interesting one. I don't know. It's interesting, because I actually used Santi's Coalossal team for Players' Cup 2 qualifiers, and Coalossal is just such a good Pokemon. It really is. This is an interesting team. Alcremie, Lapras, I mean, it reminds me of, like, Febzi's Alcremie Lapras team, just with Scrafty thrown onto it. So, pretty bulky team for the most part. Normally, Ferrothorn would be the answer into a matchup like this, because you have knockoff into Dusclops, but there is Arcanine and Conkeldurr, which is a little scary to go up against. However, my opponent does not have a single electric immune or resist. So, Specs Toxtricity feels solid here, especially as a lead. I'm even thinking Clef Toxtricity and just get a bunch of overdrives off, to be honest. Only problem is if you lead, like, Scrafty and you fake out Tox. I guess we can max Toxtricity, though. It's an option. And then I think probably Lapras and Pharaoh here. Ferrothorn's still solid, especially if Rain is up. It's just that, like, Dusclops can be pretty difficult for this team to deal with, so the Ferrothorn being able to remove the Eviolite is really valuable. Kommo-O is actually kind of interesting here, but I'm not the biggest fan, given that there's a Lapras, and Lapras is just super, super bulky, often carries Weakness Policy, so we use our Aura Sphere into it, we might just proc the Policy. Yeah. I also don't like Talonflame here at all, because my opponent's team is kind of slow to begin with. Like, we actually will probably outspeed with the majority of our team, even pre-Tailwind. And Talonflame has this problem where if you don't need Tailwind, or if you've set up Tailwind, it often just doesn't do very much after that turn, right? That's kind of a problem with it. Scrafty, Alcremie. Well, this is really interesting, because I really could Dynamax Toxtricity and Ooze. Which seems so crazy, but, like... My opponent could Dynamax Alcremie. That's a possibility. Like, the line of logic is to Dynamax, Ooze, and an Alcremie, switch out in a Lapras. But I don't think we need to commit a Dynamax here on turn 1. In fact, I like the idea of just going for a Sing and an Overdrive. So here's the interesting option, because if you're my opponent, do you feel comfortable right now? Because, like, Toxtricity could obviously max here. I just feel like Lapras and Ferrothorn are better max options. I don't think Alcremie, unless it gets Max Quake, and I don't know about it, which it might. And it, like, Dynamaxes and Quakes us, but this is a relatively passive lead from my opponent's end. They don't Fake Out. Very interesting. So I could have Sludge Bomb there, but, I mean, that's so much damage. And it's Eject Button. Wow. Maybe that was intentional, but, I mean, it might be Decorate into whatever's coming in, but that's super good for us either way, I think. Especially if we connect with the Sing. It's Arcanine coming. I don't know, there's just no offense right now from my opponent's end. It's very, very defensive stuff. I mean, Arcanine obviously could be offensive. We could have Bulldoze, which turns into Max Quake even. Just Light Screen going up, okay. It's a pretty ideal turn 1, in my opinion. We miss Sing, but... Oh, I forgot about Sweet Veil. That was my bad. I have not used Alcremie or played against it in a minute, so that was kind of silly. But no worries. I think, honestly, I'm just going to Helping Hand Overdrive here. Like, you have Light Screen up, but I should still just KO. Only problem is, oh my god, does this Arcanine have Max Quake? Because it's maxing right now, and it totally might. Oh. The thing is, even if you Max Quake here, I'm not that worried because I can just bring in Lapras and Geyser, but would be a pretty cool move here. I feel like you probably have it, so I should have probably followed me to play it safer, but whatever. Oh, they just flare. Well, this might still one-shot us. No, we have Frengar though, so I don't think so. Oh yeah, not even close. Okay, nice. So I think we KO the Alcremie here and get some good damage on Arcanine. Nice. Specs Electricity was just so good here. Look at that damage on Arcanine too. Yeah, that Sweetveil play was so bad. I should have just gone Helping Hand turn 1 in Overdrive. That might have just picked up a double KO actually, based off how much damage it did. So definitely have made some slight blunders today. Scrafty comes back out. Wish we had Gleam right now, but it's fine. I think, honestly, I just protect the Clef here, so then I get a free switch into Lapras, and then just sweep with Lapras. Because we'll already have wasted 2 turns of my opponent's Dynamax. After this turn, if they KO Toxtricity, it's a free switch into Lapras. I can just Dynamax, Helping Hand, or Follow Me, Resonance, KO Scrafty, and then play the 2v2. This is the one thing that I will say is I wish I had Kommo over Ferrothorn right now. Ferrothorn does not feel very good. Especially if Conkeldurr is waiting for in the back. That is completely useless, but I still feel like Ferrothorn's appropriate to bring because if Triffin goes up and we don't have Ferrothorn, it's a lot tougher of a matchup. Okay, so there's Fake Out. That's fine. I don't mind that. I mean, maybe it's a double up onto Tox. That actually goes from Max Ferron to Clef. Okay, nice. So this is beautiful, right? When you get to stall out 3 turns of Dynamax like that. I'm just going to Follow Me here and Overdrive. Like, this is the dream. You spend 3 turns of your opponent's Dynamax just for them to KO one of your non-Dynamax Pokemon, right? Like, we have our Dynamax in this late game, which feels super good. So we can just bring out the Lapras and then go from there. So that's nice. Yeah, I'm thinking what my opponent has in the back. Let's scare. I mean, they do have Light Screen. I'm curious if it was like a Light Clay Alcremie. Alcremie in general is just an interesting pick there. I was kind of surprised to see it, but the fact my opponent didn't go for Fake Out Turn was really good, right? Because we got so much damage with Overdrive. So this team loves to capitalize, as you've seen already from teams, like going up against teams that don't have, like, great switch-ins into these spread attacks. You have Overdrive, Sparkling Aria, and Clanging Scales. X Darkness comes out, interesting. Well, if there was any time to go for it, it was not this turn. They need to knock out Clefairy here, so yeah, we'll take it. The Dynamax Arcanine here is just really surprising, because I don't even think it's offensive. Like, I'm pretty sure that's just classic bulky Arcanine. I mean, yeah, it's got a berry, like Snarl Flare Blitz, or Snarl Heat Wave, maybe? Scrafty's got Taunt, so at least prevents me from doing anything with Clef now. I mean, it's actually pretty interesting, because I've stalled out Max, but now I have 2 Pokemon that are kind of useless. Like, I mean, depends on Arcanine's attack. Flare Blitz, Heat Wave. I mean, Heat Wave probably KOs us too. The thing is, I don't want to switch out either Pokemon right now. So I think what we do is actually we swap the Clef out, because I want that in this late game, for Lapras support, and we just Overdrive. Even if I lose both Toxtricity and the switch-in, which is Ferrothorn, which might take up a Heat Wave. Scrafty switches, okay. Conkeldurr is the last one. So Kommo would have been really good to have as the 4th here, but it's fine. So let's see if it's Heat Wave. If not, that'll be interesting as well. It is Heat Wave, yeah. Well, that's probably a double KO. Oh, man. Assault-Vest Ferrothorn actually hangs on, but they get the burn, so they knock us out through that. Yeah, this game is still not over yet. It's still very far from over. Because my opponent has Conkeldurr. So if I had Kommo on, I was able to... Okay, Light Screen wears off, though, so it wasn't Clay, which is good. But that's actually really good, because now I can just change the weather and go for Geyser. I mean, you probably Snarl here and Drain Punch. You might want to Heat Wave into Clef, actually, and just double up into it. I think Follow Me here. Geyser is fine, though. Yeah, like, Conkeldurr might not even have... Like, you don't have many ways to hit Clefairy, right? For super effective. And I'm thinking Heat Wave, Ice Punch would even survive. The only thing I was considering there was maybe protecting Clefairy. Because if we protect there, and I KO Arcanine, then I outspeed Lapras, Scrafty the next turn as well, and then you really can't do very much. So why didn't I protect Clefairy here? I was worried about Conkeldurr just getting way too much damage with the Fighting type attack. Oh, they switch out, though, so I think that should be game over. Arcanine could Protect here, or Snarl, but either way, I think the thing is that I have multiple turns of Max to work with. Now, this is a position where I wish I had Dazzling Gleam with Clefairy right now, because if we had Gleam or Moonblast, we would just get guaranteed damage off. Instead, you know, this set opts for Sing, which could be a really good option. Could have been good turn 1 if I didn't blunder the Sweet Veil there, which was totally my B. Okay, so we max. It's good. Arcanine could Protect here. I think that would make the most sense. But we can't Follow Me off. If they Heat Wave, there's no way they can win now, I think. They actually Snarl. Unfortunately for them, Lapras misses. I wonder if... Okay, I actually do want to calc that real quick, because if they could have survived... I don't know, I think we'd still win, but it would have been a lot closer. So Lapras into Arcanine. Max Geyser, Life Orb. We're like modest max. Like, granted, Sun is up, and we would have been at -1. But with Life Orb, I'm fairly confident that's still enough to knock out. So let's see. Assuming max HP. Yeah, this is still doing like over 50%, so I don't think it made a difference. Okay, I'm just gonna actually Helping Hand and Geyser to KO the Conkeldurr here. That should knock out with Rain and Life Orb. Scrafty's probably gonna want to Fake Out here onto Clef. So it would have been a little bit more interesting, but the thing is that if we pick up that knockout, the next turn I just Protect Clefairy, Resonance into the Scrafty, that's another KO, and then it's Clefairy plus Lapras against Conkeldurr, with screens being up. So I think we would win. Because I can just Follow Me Geyser and Sparkling Aria afterwards. Like, we were basically vying for a late game Lapras sweep here, right? And that's exactly what we were able to get off. But Toxtricity was so good for us here. I mean, I was just really surprised not to see, like, an early Fake Out. We're just Helping Hand Resonance here. Yeah. I think Alcremie was really interesting, though. I don't know. I just was not expecting to see a Light Screen variant. And Toxtricity was just so good into the entire team, honestly. So I was really tempted to Dynamax it, but in the end, I'm glad we conserved our max for Lapras. Now, one thing that was interesting that I have to point out in this game was that my opponent got that Heat Wave burn on a Ferrothorn. That actually might have helped me more than it hurt my opponent, because it gave me a free double switch into Clefairy and Lapras. If the Ferrothorn hangs on there, it's literally just useless for a turn. So I'd probably bring out the Clefairy, Protect Clefairy, and just sack the Ferrothorn. Maybe it doesn't really make any of a difference there in the end, but the key thing here was that, like, my opponent's Scrafty had a eject button, so it wasn't able to do anything. We got like 50% of free damage off against it, so yeah. Either way, the matches have been relatively fast today, so we'll play a 4th one, and I think that gets us to Master Ball tier. Okay, nice. I played a couple of games before recording this, obviously, as you saw, because I wanted to just get to Master Ball tier as quickly as possible, so, yeah. Either way, though, the teams we're going up against are always pretty interesting, even before Master Ball tier. This is very hyper-offensive. So, immediately, I'm thinking Toxtricity looks amazing here, but then the thing is, can I really enable Toxtricity? Because Talonflame is probably going to come out as a lead from my opponent's end, right? I could go Clefairy Talonflame, but what does that really accomplish? Like, I guess setting up Tailwind isn't the problem. It's more enabling everything around the Talonflame. I could go Clef Lapras, because what that allows me to do is Follow Me, set up screens turn 1, and then bring in Talonflame. So, like, what I'm thinking is we stagger our Tailwind. We don't just try to match my opponent's Tailwind because they have their own Talonflame. So, I like the idea of Lapras Clef with Talonflame and Toxtricity. I mean, Kommo is tempting here, but it gets absolutely demolished by Scarf Darmanitan. I don't know. I feel like Toxtricity is just better for the overdrives here, especially because my opponent has that Primarina as well. So, we'll see how this plays out. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea here is to try to get my opponent to Tailwind on turn 1 if they lead Talonflame, and then outstall that Tailwind. PZ, Talonflame. Okay, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Whoa, what do I want to do here, though? That's the question. Because I don't know if I want to KO Talonflame. Like, what we could very easily do is Protect Clefairy here. Max. And I think Resonance into Porygon. Yeah. We'll survive a Max Strike, so even if my opponent makes this read and targets the Lapras with the Max Strike, it's still fine. By getting Resonance up, we get screens up for the next turn, and then the subsequent turn I can just go for Follow Me Geyser, which I think might be a KO onto the PZ. I don't want to target the Talonflame right now, because that does not actually scare me very much with anything that I have. At best, it can taunt the Clefairy, which is why I'm also protecting here. So maybe my opponent makes the read, you know, goes for taunt to Clefairy, max strikes into Lapras. That's not even a read, actually. It's a pretty safe play because it covers all your bases. But with Friend Guard, max strike actually isn't nearly as scary, and then we get the screens up as well for the subsequent turn. So, yeah. This is why I didn't want to lead Talonflame and Lapras. If I lead Talonflame Lapras, like, I just click Tailwind, my opponent clicks Tailwind, and then they just outspeed us for the subsequent turns. It just makes no sense. So, if you're playing in these Tailwind wars, ask yourself, why am I leading my Tailwind user? And do I actually get value out of it? Best case is if my opponent like Tailwinds and max strikes into Clef, but that would be kind of an odd play to see. Alright, they Tailwind. Alright. Oh, they get Tailwind from the Talonflame makes sense, because if I KO the Talonflame with Lapras, then you at least get the Tailwind off immediately. There's max strike. Okay, yeah, they correctly target Lapras, so that's a nice play. So I could have gone for Helping Hand or even Sing or Follow Me, but once again, I don't mind that option too much because we took less than 50% and I get screens up now, which is great, right? So like, you're definitely not knocking out the Lapras the next turn. Yeah, and that does so much damage. In fact, actually, don't forget, yeah, Resonance is actually stronger right now than Geyser. So like 2 Resonance, this should just pick up the knockout here onto PZ. I want to Follow Me Resonance. My opponent can get around that, though, by protecting PZ and taunting Clef, but I don't think that even does that much for them. Because then you still don't KO Lapras in its last turn. So, I like that. Okay. If we KO PZ, then we'll have a late game Tailwind up, which is good. Yeah, there's Taunt. I don't even think Taunt Max Strike KOs us. I mean, obviously Taunt doesn't do any damage, but with the screens up, I don't think Max Strike KOs. But maybe I'm underestimating Porygon. I mean, this thing's so strong. Yeah, it does not KO. Nice, 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 nice. So that's perfect. We stalled out 2 turns of Max already, and we still have 1 more turn of Dynamax to go on our end. The only problem is that I now really need to knock out the Talonflame so that I can't taunt my Talonflame, because we want to get a late game Tailwind up, bring out Toxtricity, and just overdrive everything. And that's the problem with this Clefairy. It does not have any attacking moves, so Taunt is super, super bad to go up against. Because now my opponent does get a free switch in, and you would probably bring something like Urshifu or Darmanitan, which can just go for a fighting type attack to knock out the Lapras, which isn't great. Yeah, there's Urshifu. Does Close Combat knock us out, though? Honestly, I don't think so, so I might just stay in here for Friend Guard this turn. He might Wicked Blow, but I feel like Friend Guard's actually super valuable, because we have Friend Guard and Screens up right now, which is so good. So I kind of want to just Geyser into the Talonflame, and I'll struggle this turn. I don't even mind struggling. It breaks the potential Sash on either Pokemon. Yeah, like, look how good Friend Guard is right now with Screens, right? We take so little damage. Okay. I think we survived this. Yeah, we needed Friend Guard there. Nice. So that's huge, right? Because I get 1 more turn onto my Dynamax. We'll see if there's a Sash here on Talonflame, but this is actually probably one of the best positions to struggle in, because if anything is Sashed, I can actually break a Sash. And now I actually break a Sash on the Urshifu. Which is great, because my Talonflame can just come in and click Brave Bird now against it, and once again, I have Toxtricity, so I should be able to just bring out Talonflame, Tailwind, and then just Overdrive. So, hilariously enough, we struggled, but this was actually a great struggle because any amount of damage is valuable for us here. Yeah. Okay, so I think that should be game over because I still have... yeah, with Darm in the back, this is fine. Because what I do now is I protect the Lapras. Oh no, I don't protect Lapras. I sacrifice both Pokemon here. So I get a double free switch in. Because then I just click Tailwind Overdrive. Okay, they just Ice Punch, that's fine. Unless, like, Tailwind Specs Overdrive doesn't KO Urshifu, like, that's my only fear. I think we have to Tailwind Overdrive. Also, Darm outsped there, so it should be Scarf Darmanitan. Okay, their Tailwind is out. So this is perfect, right? This is exactly what we're looking for. I'm never going to outspeed my opponent if I match their Tailwind, and they're... The thing is, in a Tailwind versus Tailwind war, your opponent's always going to... If your opponent's faster, you can't just feel good about matching their Tailwind. You have to figure out another way. So, in this position, I think it's in our best interest to just click Tailwind and Overdrive. We have Aurora Veil up. The only fear is, like... I might want to Sludge Bomb instead, but if you protect, that's a problem with the Urshifu. I would think Spec Sludge Bomb one-shots, though. But then if Darmanitan one-shots us, is that a problem? I just don't think Specs Overdrive one-shots either Pokemon here. Maybe it one-shots the Darm. Okay, we know Darm can't protect here, so I'm going to Tailwind and target the Darmanitan. They don't protect either. I don't know, maybe Overdriving was correct there. I just don't think it knocks out either. It's significantly weaker than Sludge Bomb. They're going to Sucker Punch. That's fine. If this one-shots, it should be game over. Okay, good job, Specs Toxtricity. Nice. Okay, AV wears off. Yeah, and now it's game over. I was pretty confident in Specs KOing there, but I was not 100% sure, so yeah. That made me a little nervous there, but I think we're in good shape now. Yeah, I'll play one more. I mentioned this in the last episode with the Zoroark, or that last time we played with Zoroark, but I feel guilty when, like, I'm only showcasing wins, because I've definitely lost with this team a fair amount too, but like I said, I wanted to practice a bit beforehand just to understand the fundamentals of the team a little bit better. So trust me, it's not like I have a 100% win rate or anything close to that with the team. Yeah, but we'll play one more, and honestly, I wouldn't mind it being a win or a loss. Obviously, we want to win, but yeah. Let's find one last match of the day. 5 matches, though, which is exciting, and seems like you all do enjoy the longer episodes here and there, so I appreciate everyone for coming out and tuning in. You know, anytime you start out with a brand new team, it takes a little bit to understand just the basics of how you want to play it. And the more practice you get with the team, you just get more into... You see kind of the obvious combos, you see the different ways you need to approach certain matchups and whatnot. So with this team, you know, if you're trying it out, it's really important to, one, bringing the right Pokemon is super important. Like, I think, like, Clef and Ferrothorn often feel like the odd ones out, but that last matchup, we 100% needed the Clefairy. Like, I think if we don't bring it, we pretty much just lose. This is an awesome team. Froslass, Ninetales, and Dragalage. So on one end, you have the Trick Room mode, right? Dragalage, Hat, and Mienshao, but then what the heck is the fourth? I think we might have to Dynamax Pharaoh here. There's so much stuff that is anti-Kommo-O, so I don't think we can bring Kommo-O once again. There aren't that many great electric resists, but Ninetales and Froslass are pretty fast. I wish I had Taunt on Talonflame, because if I did, I would definitely just lead it. I kind of like Toxtricity. I feel like Ferrothorn alone is so good here. So I'm thinking Toxtricity in the early game just to disrupt. I really want to bring Kommo-O. But, I don't know, there's 3 Pokemon that have spread super effective attacks against that. I just feel like that can't be the right decision. So I'm going to go Toxtricity Clefairy, and the idea behind that is to just overdrive a bunch in the early game. Clefairy can sing if Trick Room goes up, I have redirection support, and I have Friend Guard, which is good. Maybe Lapras Clef could have also worked where I just set up screens early game, but I think Dynamax Ferrothorn is actually a really good option potentially in this matchup, so that's what I'm positioning myself up for. Toxtricity Froslass. No, the interesting thing is only one of these Pokemon can be sashed. You could just double Blizzard here, actually. I don't think that KOs with Friend Guard, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and if I were wrong, that would be pretty bad. I'm leaning towards, quite honestly, just Overdrive and Helping Hand. I love Froslass, though. I used that in, like, 2009 with Froslass and Glaceon way back in the day, so I always root for Froslass, and if we lose to it, that's not a bad thing. We get to see what it does. I'm really curious here. Because both of these Pokemon are also Pokemon that often want to be sashed. Oh. Okay. I see. Oh, well that I did not anticipate. Interesting. Interesting. I've also given the Froslass a choice specs now. Or sorry, yeah, specs now. So, what do we do here? I don't want to Dynamax yet, that's the thing. Like, I could so easily bring out Lapras and Max, but I don't feel like it's worth maxing. Switcheroo! Very neat. I honestly like did not know Froslass's moveset, at least in the newer games at all, so that's pretty cool. I'm all for that. Honestly, I'm just going to protect Sparkling Aria here. I just don't think my opponent can do damage into Lapras. And like that should bring both Pokemon under 50%. Like, I just feel like this is not a position of Dynamax right now because I don't necessarily need screens. And once again, I think Pharaoh is such a good max option. Sure, Froslass has the specs now, but like, I have Friend Guard, and this is Lapras we're talking about. That did a total of 16 damage. Like, that's fine. Aurora Veil goes up, though. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. Okay. I also, by the way, Sparkling Aria's animation always makes me laugh because, like, you, like, look like you're targeting yourself anyway. As, yeah, the Pokemon literally, like, looks towards you, which I find amusing. Okay, well, this turn is interesting. I honestly might just Helping Hand Sparkling Aria pick up the knockout onto Froslass, because I don't want to switch in Ferrothorn right now, because it will actually take a decent amount of damage from a Specs Blizzard. So, like, Clefairy probably goes down here, but whatever. I don't even know if it goes down, actually. But the switcheroo is really neat. Yeah, it actually survives, but I'm going to KO myself. But that's fine. I think that's worth it. Because Ninetales is, like, basically pretty useless for my opponent right now, right? So, you stay on the field. I mean, we've only seen Blizzard and Fake Tears, or not Fake Tears, sorry, Aurora Veil right now. But, like, I think this is now a free switch in into Ferrothorn. I could potentially even max either Pokemon right now. Dusclops, okay. So with Dusclops coming out, I actually don't even think we bother. We could max Lap. No, I think I want to max the Pharaoh. The only problem here is that I would take a Blizzard because I have a Assault Vest. Because my opponent's play here is the Blizzard and Trick Room, I think. So I think I want a Blizzard and knock off and then Dynamax. Yeah, Pharaoh on the next turn. I think that's good. You could also just hard switch Ninetales out, but if you do that and you go into Dragalage and you eat this Blizzard, like, it's just doomed for them, I think. And so I still feel okay. Like, once again, right now, my opponent has brought nothing to actually pressure Ferrothorn with a large amount of damage. And this is why it's really important to consider when you Dynamax as well. So as long as we don't get frozen here, should be okay. I knew as soon as I said that. I jinxed it. I knew. Oh, but we thaw out. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's Trick Room going up now, but no more Eviolite. Goodbye. So this is great, because now I can just max the Ferrothorn and max Darkness into Dusclops. Which I wonder if it's enough for a KO after removing the Eviolite. That'd be neat. I'm just double checking. I mean, we are super min speed. Yeah. I do think if, like, I mean, Pharaoh still had a pretty optimal matchup against my opponent's entire team, but if we did not thaw out earlier, like, if we just stay frozen. I mean, Freeze is one of the, like, I think it's, like, the least competitive thing in the game in the sense that, like, there's no guaranteed thaw out, right? So you're just basically rolling the dice every turn, which sucks. So we were lucky not to thaw out immediately, but anytime you see a freeze, I'm instantly thinking I've probably lost already, and I'm just hoping for the best. Alright, let's see how much Max Darkness does here. That is not a KO, unfortunately. So, Dusclops can Pain Split, but the thing is that I get the Spadef drop, so then I still get a really strong Blizzard off here. And I'll KO the Ninetales for sure before it can move. So, honestly, it's fine. It does Pain Split into the Ferrothorn, which is good play. So, Dusclops will stick around for a little bit longer. That actually is kind of a big deal, because Blizzard I don't think KOs here. It's still fine, though. I mean, we KO the Dusclops this next turn, because we outspeed it. I think Dragalage is probably the last one for my opponents. And it could be Hatterene, which would be really interesting, because then you actually have Max Flare into Ferrothorn. Which would mean, actually, if it is Hat, we would still lose. Oh, wow, it is. But we outspeed. We outspeed with the Pharaoh, right? So I think it's fine. I mean, you should Flare here into Ferrothorn. So honestly, I think I'm actually just gonna... I don't think Max Weight KOs Dusclops, right? And if Hat's Focus Sash... I don't know. I mean, like, on one hand, I could just Sparkling Aria, Max Darkness here, get the knockout, guaranteed knockout onto Dusclops, and play the 2v1. I think that's okay. If it's Sash Hatterene and I Steel Spike into it and you're Sashed. No, I think targeting Hat was better here, actually. Yeah, I played this fully expecting Dragalage to be the last one, but my opponent was like, I need to bring in Hatterene because they might have Ferrothorn, so well played on their end there. I mean, we'll knock out the Dusclops guaranteed here, which is good. And Hat's at -1 Spadef, so it's going to be eating up a lot of damage from all these attacks from my end. If Max Ferro also doesn't one-shot Ferrothorn because we're Assault Vest, then we'll win. So, I don't know. Like, in that position... If I Steel Spike there... Oh, they don't even have Flare. Okay, well, then... I mean, they're hoping for confusion at this point, basically. Which is scary. I mean, yeah. With confusion, there's always a way. Like, I would have honestly rather had them target the Ferrothorn here. So, Aurora Veil is gone, though. And they're at -1 Spadef. And we have Tox as well. So, obviously, I'm just going to Steel Spike here. This is interesting because I can't protect with Tox, unfortunately, though. So you should actually max guard if you're my opponent here. You really should max guard here, actually. It would be a throw to not max guard. Yeah, nice play. Oh, man. I think they win this now, actually. Yeah. I think I tunnel vision a little bit too hard on the Hatterene targeting the Ferrothorn with the Flare instead of targeting Lapras, which was a great decision on their end. Because if I just Steel Spiked in that position, it would have been so much damage, and I can't protect here, so... Unless you don't have Max Flare on Hatterene. Because you have to KO the... Yeah, I'm going to just Iron Head and Sludge Bomb here. What you do here is you Max Psychic into the... Yeah, so another Iron Head. Okay, you Max Psychic into... Oh, they flared! They messed up. Oh, they flared into Toxstone. That's enough for a KO. Okay, never mind. They did not mess up, because that sets up the Sun. Nice. Nice. Okay, well played. Really, really well played. Let me calc... I mean, we should have Steel Spiked in that position one way or another, I think. I didn't expect the... Like, I think this was definitely a winnable matchup. I do want to quickly calc how much I'm doing with Ferrothorn. If Steel... It's just I was worried about Sash, but I think that was kind of an irrational fear. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't KO Max Hatterene anyway. So do I regret the Max Darkness play? Not really. Not really. Because... Oh, I guess if you Flare, though, you set up the Sun. So I don't really do enough damage. So maybe I needed to Steel Spike there just for damage output. But then the Dusclops gets another attack off. Yeah. And honestly, maybe maxing Lapras would have been the right call in this game. Like, I felt really excited to Dynamax Ferrothorn, but in the end, I don't actually think that was the right play. And that was a really nice play to Max Flare there as well, just to set up the Sun, so you have the Mystical Fire with Life Orb in Sun against the Ferrothorn. Like, really nicely executed. Obviously, the main thing about this game was me not expecting Switcheroo, because I lost... It was funny, that last game was similar to that one game against the Scrafty stuff, where I ejected them out. This time around, they ejected us. We took a lot of damage and got very little off, and then they got the Aurora Veil off as well. So, what we needed to do... I mean, I just had no idea what to expect from the Froslass Ninetales, so... A loss like that I'm always happy about, because now I know, okay, Froslass is Switcheroo. If I see it with Ninetales, expect Switcheroo. But that was really cool. So, in that position, also, I could have just gone for Follow Me, right? If I just go for Follow Me Overdrive, then you switch the Clefairy out, but I don't mind that, because I get so much damage with the Overdrive. Specs Overdrive just demolishes there, so... different ways we could have played. Go for Follow Me on turn 1 and Dynamax Lapras instead of Ferrothorn in the endgame position there. Because we could have just Dynamax Lapras, set up screens. That would have been a lot better of an option. I did not need to Dynamax Pharaoh. Because, okay, the reason I did was because I thought Max Darkness would one-shot Dusclops. So if we one-shot Dusclops and we KO the Ninetales in that position, it's a 3v1, right? So whatever comes in, even if it's Hatterene, like, there's no way for my opponent to win at that spot. But we actually didn't pick up the one-hit KO there, and my opponent correctly went for Pain Split, and was able to survive the Blizzard afterwards, which was really bad. So, I mean, I don't regret it, but knowing that calc after, like, Pharaoh, despite it being cool as a Dynamax option, you know, still doesn't do that much damage, and Dusclops is still really bulky, even after, you know, losing the Evian Light. So, yeah. Either way, that was a really interesting set of games, so I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Alright, peace.